hope everyone enjoyed their spring break. Welcome to LOQation, Cabrini College's weekly news program. I'm Molly Fox.
And I'm Sean Ostrowski. Here's your news now.
I was scrolling through my Instagram and I kept seeing pictures of different women posting pictures of themselves in support of March being Women's History Month. According to womenshistorymonth.gov, this month plays a huge role in recognizing women, and I quote, whose commitment to nature and the planet have proved invaluable to society. If interested in learning more about Women's History Month, make sure to check out the website listed below or simply search Women's History Month 2014. Need to build your LinkedIn profile to help find a summer job or work after graduation? Cabrini's Lead Strong program is hosting an opportunity to build your LinkedIn account and learn how to market yourself in the work world. Be sure to be there March 24th at 5:30 p.m. in Grace Hall, room 150. Students have been studying Guatemala in ECG 300 all semester. 13 students and 2 professors got the opportunity to travel to Guatemala over spring break to give their service and carry out everything they have been learning in the classroom so far this semester. Let's check it out.
Every year, Cabrini College offers a class with Dr. Zurich and Dr. Green to learn about the history of poverty and violence in Guatemala. Then during spring break, they go to the San Lucas mission started by Father Greg Schaefer to experience the effects the violence and poverty has left on the country. Last week, when the students ventured their way to Guatemala, they immersed themselves in the Mayan culture. They worked side by side with the people of Guatemala sorting coffee beans, helping with reforestation, building houses, and building stoves. The students were also able to witness and partake in the Mayan cultures of the beginning of Lent. And in the end, the students walked away with a love for the people of Guatemala, a true understanding of Catholic social teaching, a passion to make a difference, and an experience that they will never be able to forget.
And that was your trip around the block. So Nick, what's new with sports this week?
I have an update on guys and girls lacrosse and basketball, and an NHL game was postponed in the first quarter. Let me tell you all about it. Cabrini men's and women's basketball teams lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The women's team got its first ever NCAA tournament win over Moravian College. The Lady Cavs then went on to lose in overtime to number 8 Montclair State. The Lady Cavs finished their season 24-5, which is tied for the most wins in Cabrini's history. The men lost to number 22 Richard Stockton College and finished their season 26-2, which is the second most wins in Cabrini's history. Let's take a look at the recap of the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament hosted here at Cabrini.
Cabrini men's basketball started their NCAA tournament run on Friday, March 7th, where they took on Bridgewater State University in the first round. The big three of Fran Rafferty, Vinnie Walls, and Aaron Walton-Moss led the Cavs to a 100-69 win. Rafferty had 23 points in 23 minutes. Walls had 29 points and was 4 for 5 from beyond the arc. And Aaron Walton-Moss barely missed a triple-double with 21 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. The Cavaliers led 61-34 at the break, and they shot 64.7% from the floor through the first half of play. The trio of Rafferty, Walls, and Walton-Moss scored 55 of Cabrini's 61 first-half points. The Cavaliers kept the pressure on in the second half as they continued to score efficiently. The blue and white were 15 for 33 from the floor, including 6 for 14 from beyond the arc through the second half of play. With this win, the Cavaliers advanced to the second round of the NCAA tournament to take on number 22 Richard Stockton College on Saturday. The teams battled back and forth through the first half of play, exchanging buckets until ultimately ending the first half in a tie at 41. The second half continued with even play until a little less than 8 minutes left, where Stockton went on a 7-0 run and went on to defeat the Cavaliers with a final score of 85-76. Let's take a look at the exclusive press conference coverage and see what Coach Kahn, Rafferty, and Walton-Moss had to say.
For our senior class, this is the shortest run they've been on. I think that's what stings. That's pretty remarkable. Losing is disappointing, but it takes nothing away from the program.
My teammates, first and foremost, I've been the closest with those guys than I have in any team I've ever been on, so that's all I think I'm first. And obviously our coaching staff, they've done a great job. They've helped me expand my game a lot the past 4 years.
So, I mean, that's still small thing. I mean, we got 5 seniors. I think we also have 5 freshmen, so a lot of work. I mean, we'll definitely be back.
Damian Sobieski became the 21st player in Cabrini's history to have more than 100 career points. The Cavaliers opened the season 4-0 for the first time since 2008. Looking ahead, the team will take on Gettysburg College later this week. Women's lacrosse dropped its second straight game with a 10-15 loss to Ursinus College. The Lady Cavs will look for their first win of the season as they take on Widener University at home later this week. In NHL news, on Monday, a game between Dallas Stars and Columbus Blue Jackets ended abruptly in the first quarter. Stars forward Rich Peverly collapsed on the bench during the first period of the game. Peverly regained consciousness and was taken to the hospital to be monitored. Peverly had a procedure done to correct an irregular heartbeat in the offseason. The game was halted and postponed to a later date. And that will do it for sports. Tune in next week for national, local, and as always, your Cabrini Sports News. And now let's send it to Sean for your trip across the nation.
Earlier this week, Philadelphia Inquirer reported that in the school district of Philadelphia, a 16-year-old used Instagram to post a picture of his teacher. The picture included a caption that said, $1,000 bounty, there's money on her head, #bleedblue. Without even being notified, the student was suspended. Investigators weren't sure why this photo was posted, and the motive is still being determined. Social media, including Instagram and Twitter, have become more of a platform for students to use for cyberbullying. Almost a year ago, the Boston Marathon bombing happened where hundreds of people were injured. The marathon is coming in April, and the Boston FBI says that there have been no specific threats made for this year's 26.2-mile race. Marathon officials added more rules to make this race safer for the 36,000 runners. A potential runner told an ABC reporter that the marathon will be a fun, festive, family-focused day. Cabrini's Office of Institutional Advancement works with alumni and friends of the school to fundraise money that goes towards a variety of programs such as academic, athletic, and facilities functions of the college. At the recent National Student Philanthropy Day, we got a more in-depth look at what this office does.
Our goal is to build relationships with alumni, with friends of the school, parents, corporations, foundations, anybody, to really enhance the opportunities we can provide for our students here on campus. So whether that's scholarship, whether that's programming, whether that's athletics, activities, anything that individuals or groups that we can find that can help support those programs.
In order to fund these programs and scholarships, Castagna and the rest of the Institutional Advancement Office work to raise money for the benefit of the school. In line with helping Cabrini, their purpose is also to keep our tuition at a reasonable cost.
There is a certain amount of fundraising that has to happen every year in order to make sure that everything that we want to do is paid for. So we do have a gap, and we're just trying to make that gap a little bit bigger so we're relying less on tuition. We do any number of ways, whether it's outreach just through standard letters that alumni get in the mail asking them to donate to the school. We have a robust phone-a-thon program where alumni are getting called asking them for solicitations over the phone. In addition to my office and individuals who work here are just reaching out to individuals, building relationships ultimately so that they understand what we're trying to accomplish here and that they want to be a part of it.
In partnership with Cavalier Traditions, Institutional Advancement brought National Student Philanthropy Day to Cabrini this year. This day was all about thanking donors for enhancing students' college experiences.
Student Philanthropy Day, I believe it's national, and the big purpose is for the students to help them understand that there are individuals that are invested in their education and that want them to succeed, and gives them an opportunity to learn about that, and then tomorrow there's going to be an opportunity for them to thank some of those individuals as well. Our donors like hearing from the students, and I think it helps them put a face to some of their donations and really puts a face to what they're trying to accomplish, what we're trying to accomplish. So the more outreach we can do with those individuals, and events like this really help tell your stories to our donors and to our potential donors so that they would want to be a part of what we're trying to accomplish here.
And that was your trip across the nation. So Val, what's new in entertainment?
I have news for you about a new hit show and newlyweds, so let me tell you more about it. ABC has a new hit show. This past Sunday, the premiere of the mid-season drama Resurrection, starring Omar Epps, debuted with 13.3 million viewers and had a 3.6 rating. I tuned in and was hooked right away. Resurrection airs Sundays at 9 p.m. on ABC. If you miss the premiere, be sure to tune in to this Sunday's episode. I promise you won't regret it. Congratulations to the newlyweds. Olympic gymnast Alicia Sacramone and quarterback Brady Quinn tied the knot over the weekend in Coral Gables, Florida. Talk about an athletic couple. Insiders say the wedding was a very intimate ceremony with only close family and friends. The couple has been dating since 2007, and they confirmed to sources that they were engaged late last summer. Looks like Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield will have yet another Spider-Man kiss. On Tuesday, E! News shared a clip of Stone and Garfield hiding in the maintenance closet having a moment in the movie The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which hits theaters May 2nd. Over spring break, Cabrini offered students opportunities to both travel and give back. One of those trips was to Louisiana to assist in rebuilding houses destroyed by Hurricane Katrina.
Everybody talks about New Orleans as this big party town, and it is to a point. People go down there for Mardi Gras to have a good time, and we actually did go over Mardi Gras, but you know, I kind of wanted to see what it was all about, you know, party aside.
So the first like 2 days we were there, we did like a lot of like cultural stuff. We like saw the area. We went to mass on Sunday.
People don't realize that some of the homes, they're still destroyed. Like none of them, a lot of them weren't fixed, and a lot of people haven't been able to move home. What we were doing was we were helping rebuild a house with an organization called the St. Bernard Project, which basically helps rebuild homes that can be affordable for families that used to live in the neighborhood.
It was like great because we like all worked together instantly, even like despite our fears. Like we were using saws and like things like that, and it was like a little overwhelming, but like we all got through it. Like I remember we were being nervous, like, oh, what if we're not doing this right or whatever. But like all the volunteers, they're volunteers through the St. Bernard Project that they're there for about like 10 months, and they were just all very helpful and very patient.
It was really amazing to see like their reaction to volunteers coming in and helping them rebuild a house, because none of us really had any experience with rebuilding a house, let alone like using power tools and like everything.
So we actually got the opportunity to meet a family that lived in New Orleans, and they were wiped out from the storm and everything. And 2 weeks ago, they actually moved back into their house that St. Bernard Project like rebuilt and fixed it all up for them. So they were very welcoming to us, and they allowed us to come in and like see everything. And they told us their really beautiful story. And even though we didn't work on their house as a group, they were just saying that they like loved us so much, and it's because of like the work we do that they have their house back.
A lot of the people that we met were very thankful and very grateful for the people that were helping rebuild the area. And they were very happy that we were down there.
That was your weekly entertainment update. Now let's check in with Molly for your news around the world.
A scheduled Malaysia Airlines flight never landed in Beijing, China this past Saturday, disappearing from radar over the Gulf of Thailand. Flight MH370 included 3 Americans and the majority Chinese. According to the New York Times, a military aircraft and a multitude of ships searched the waters off of Vietnam for the missing plane. There has been an array of explanations for how or why the aircraft went missing. And according to an aviation expert, he believes it was merely an accident rather than foul play. Others believe it had to do with 2 passengers with passports being listed as lost or stolen. Many questions still unanswered, with the plane still missing. History was recently found in the streets of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, home to this year's World Cup and the Summer Olympics, just 2 years away. As construction crews started the demolition to prepare for the events that would be arriving in their city, archaeologists have found astonishing discoveries. According to the archaeologists, more evidence is showing that Rio was home to the brutal center of the Atlantic slave trade. As the city construction continues, many argue that they are losing their history, especially since the new discoveries, and according to the New York Times, Rio was said to have imported the most slaves in all of the Americas. Life is good in Costa Rica. Let's check in with Professor Womack and some students who went on the 1-week short-term study abroad to see how it went.
So Costa Rica, why do I take students on trips to Costa Rica? This is not the first time that I personally have been to Costa Rica. I went as a student, actually, when I was a freshman in college, and then went about 10 years later, and then had an opportunity this time around to go with Dr. Erin McLaughlin and take a group of 16 students to Costa Rica to study specifically fair trade. And I think what the students really got out of this experience was the chance to visit some local farms, so some fair trade, organic, sustainable farms where there are co-ops involved, where they could see how it benefited the community, or they were told how what they did at these co-ops benefited the community, whether it be through education of children in the local community or through different events or community kind of programs that they would have. And then we also had the opportunity to visit some other larger places like Dole, for example. And although Dole does follow some of the fair trade principles, it was interesting, I think, for the students to absorb the fact that deforestation happened when Dole brought in those their banana plantation. So there are a lot of different kinds of things that don't happen in a larger kind of production. For example, sustainability and improving the community and improving education that happens in these smaller co-ops that are either fair trade certified or are community-oriented co-ops that work, which are small farmers, together and make decisions together in regards to their business.
Before traveling to Costa Rica, I was really all about fair trade. I loved the concept behind it. I thought it was really helpful for all these people in need. And it wasn't until we actually reached Costa Rica and I started talking with the locals and interacting and asking questions on, do you know what fair trade does? Do you know about it? And I was surprised that nobody really seemed to know what fair trade really was. So I kind of questioned myself, how transparent is fair trade? Is it really transparent at all?
Coming into the class, I really didn't understand what fair trade was, but then after learning about it in the classroom and seeing it in person in Costa Rica, it really put into perspective the values and the morals behind fair trade. I loved everything we did there, the zip lining and hiking the volcano, all the adventurous things, but I really did love seeing the different plantations of the coffee beans and the banana farm and seeing what fair trade really meant to those workers.
For me, Costa Rican is, in 3 words, no army, supporting a lot of people with a strong middle class, and a lot of conservation, not just for us, also for the rest of the world to follow us. Like one small country with no army have attained high levels of development, not only for the big class, also for the middle class of this country, and a good example of how much we're trying to protect to preserve this world.
Whether it be that the world is a much larger place than they had ever really imagined because they had never traveled before, or that they're actually able to see poverty, they're able to see communities that are struggling, they're able to see different ways that people work and people live. And by absorbing that, they can come away with something, either, you know what, there is something that I want to be involved in to make my world a better place, or I now have knowledge around a bigger world than where I just came from.
Thanks for catching up with us this week. For Location Weekly News, I'm Molly Fox.
And I'm Sean Ostrowski. Stay up to date throughout the week by following us on our social media platform. Simply search Location News. Have a great week, Cabrini.